Hi there and welcome to another Axway Managed File Transfer video. In this video I'm going to introduce our Transfer CFT solution. So if you're wondering, CFT stands for Cross File Transfer and it's recently just celebrated its 40th birthday. So let's have a quick recap on our secure transport product. So ST is the centrally managed file transfer gateway. This is typically going to sit at the perimeter of your environment and facilitate transfers between internal systems and external systems. We deploy it as a secure two-tier deployment, so we'll have a ST and an edge server and a DMZ. In terms of file transfers, it's pretty much a hub and spoke type architecture, so files will come into secure transport and be sent from secure transport. So normally a flow is going to have one inbound transfer and possibly multiple outbound transfers. Okay, let's see where this differs to transfer CFT. So transfer CFT flows enable us to go directly from source to target. It's a peer-to-peer file transfer as opposed to secure transport being hub and spoke / gateway transfer. So we require a CFT agent to be deployed on our source and target. So CFT can initiate a send or a receive. The protocol we use is typically PSIT, although we do support a SFTP interface as well. The major difference between CFT and secure transport is the CFT agents are all managed individually. CFT also supports relay flows, so if we need to send to a target that we can't necessarily have a direct connection to, we can send through a CFT relay. We also have a secure proxy solution available for CFT. CFT supports broadcast and collect flows, so we can define a list of partners on our source CFT and we can transfer files to multiple partners as part of a single file transfer process. We can also do the reverse, we can go out and collect files from multiple partners, and that would be called a collect flow. I also just need to highlight that CFT and secure transport work perfectly together. So we have a PSIT interface on secure transport. Secure transport effectively acts as another CFT agent, but also provides the gateway capabilities, so you can do CFT to CFT flows and incorporate secure transport flows at a gateway level as well. Let's have a look at the admin UI for CFT. So CFT has two services that run. It has a Copilot service, which is your admin UI running on this port here, and there is also a CFT service which actually does the file transfer, and that can listen on a variety of ports depending on the protocol. I've got various credential options here. I can log in with LDAP or single sign-on. In this case it's going to be a local CFT stored account. Okay, so the landing page here gives you a link to all of the various interfaces. Now we can support delegated admin, so we can define a role that users will only have access to certain items if you need to. In this case I'm logged on as a full administrator, so I can see pretty much everything. So this is the transfers interface. So this is the log showing all of the transfer successes and failures that I have. I can drill into these and it keeps all the records of all of the transfer detail. We'll do a bit more of this when I go into setting up a few flows. Log is more your system logs here, which will show all of the events associated with CFT and transfers. Administration, so I can stop my CFT service here. We also support a cluster, so this is a single node, but we can support various modes for operating in a cluster or a high availability setup. The general configuration tab here is all of the service setup parameters. We can do all of this through a silent installer, or we've got various APIs to configure it, so you can do a complete hands-free install of CFT. Normally you're not going to have to touch too much in here once things are set up and working. The flow definition tab is all things transfer related, so this is where we'll set up our partners and our send and receive templates and everything we need to set up for file transfers. I'll go through this in a little bit of detail when we set up a few file transfers. Your security tab here is for setting up all of our certificates and our security profiles. So I have a TLS client and server profile. We need to import certificates for their various interfaces. If we're getting into SSH file transfers, then this is where we set up our SSH keys and security profiles. Then a remaining tab here is the help here. So the API documentation, this is a fully featured API. We can do everything we can do through the UI with our API. And we've also got the online help here, which will link to our documentation portal. Alright, that concludes the introduction to the admin UI. So in terms of triggering file transfers, we've got a few ways we can do this. You can initiate them through the UI by going through this menu here. So I'm going to send a file, then it's going to bring up the config here. So what I'm going to need is a partner. So I've already pre-configured CFT Singapore and a IDF, which is a send template in this case. So I'm going to use demo, which I've got pre-configured, and I'll go through what the settings behind each of these components is in further detail in another video. But for now, I'm just going to demonstrate how we can send a file. So I'm going to navigate to a local directory here, and I'm going to select a file. So I've made a 1 gig and a 5 gig file, so you can play around and test out the transfer speeds between Sydney and Singapore. So I've got 2 CFT hosts, one in Sydney, one in Singapore. Okay, so for now I'm just going to use this small test123 file, and I'm going to select the protocol as SSL. So this is mutual TLS, and when I hit send, and we should, after a second or two, see a completed record. So I can drill into the logs here and I can see all of the transfer events. I can also drill through the server logs and I can see all the events associated with this transfer. So another way we can initiate a file transfer with Transfer CFT is from the command line. So this is the local server, and I'm going to initiate a command here to trigger an outbound file transfer. So the command I'm going to use is this here. So the CFT util is the executable. I'm doing a send. I've specified a partner as my CFT Singapore instance. The IDF is my send template, which is going to populate some of those properties for sending the file. And the last parameter is the file name. So local file name test123. I'll hit that, and that should then trigger an outbound file transfer. So I can then go and check through my transfers interface, and I'll see it successfully sent there. We can also view the catalog or the file transfer records from the command line as well, using the same CFT util command. So CFT util shows all of our transfer records. We can drill into a bit more detail of these. So the command line CFT has been around forever. The UI got added a little bit more recently. Another very common option for triggering a file transfer with CFT is through the use of a folder monitor. So a folder monitor allows us to set up a location where we're going to watch for files to be dropped, and when they do get dropped, we'll pick them up and send them. In this case, I have this SMP directory mounted locally on my CFT server, and that attaches to a Windows share, which the Windows share is available here. And I'll just drop a couple of files. So CFT pickup is where I'm monitoring, and we've got various different parameters we can set for this, so it should pick up these files in about 5 seconds and send them. You can actually design a series of directories here where you can have a CFT partner per directories, but we see there it's been picked up and sent. If I navigate back to my CFT transfer logs, I should see a couple of outbound transfers. We can also submit file transfer jobs through the RESTful API here. So let me show you how this works. So I can navigate here to transfers files outgoings, which is going to send files. I need to populate a partner, which again is my Singapore CFT instance, the IDF, which is my send template. Again, I'm going to use demo, and then I can populate a file name in here in the payload. And once I hit execute, it's going to submit that for processing. I get a 201, so I'm pretty happy that it's transferred, but just to confirm, I will navigate back to the transfers log, and I can see there my test file has been sent successfully, triggered through the API. So that was a quick CFT introduction. I hope it made sense. I will provide another couple of videos on how to detail setting up transfer flows and do a little bit more advanced stuff. I hope that was useful. Thanks for watching.